Hey everybody, hopefully we're live on everything. This is my first attempt at a Podbean live podcast. It appears it's reading my mic, I think, but I don't know which microphone it's reading. I hope there's somewhere in the interface where I can actually choose my microphone. It didn't seem to want to allow me to do that, so that was kind of weird. If it sounds like crap over there, let me know in the comments section elsewhere. We got to be very careful because guess what, folks? We're streaming on YouTube right now. And if there ends up being a portion of the broadcast in which I do decide to take calls and have some live stuff, it's definitely going to Rockfin and Podbean only. And the cool thing about this, hopefully, if this actually gets my microphone right, fingers crossed, I don't know that it's going to do that. We'll see. We'll see. We'll not only take calls, but we're also going to play a section of Shade the Motion Picture to kind of illustrate the point that I'm about to make. Okay? And the point I'm about to make is that I don't think that Whoopi Goldberg was necessarily wrong when she talks about World War II, the Holocaust, obviously, and whether or not it was really about race. And she talks about man's inhumanity to man, and although that's a part of it, I think that we do have to explore that in a way it was about race, but maybe not the way that they're telling you. So I'm going to allow Whoopi Goldberg to speak for herself, and then we're going to kind of analyze it. But one of the things that I did want to mention right out of the gates is, why would this not be about race? Well, it wasn't just the Jewish people that Hitler went after. He went after what? Political dissidents. That was a big thing, right? We don't want to talk about that. Gypsies, homosexuals, undesirables, people in quote-unquote secret societies, etc., etc. And what he really did was he mobilized a movement against the Jewish people by making them think, and when I say them, I mean the Germans and many other people across the world through black propaganda, that they were somehow subhuman. And remember, this is when medical tyranny comes in, right? And they have the Department of Hygiene. And I want you guys really right now to think about this. If only there were a period of time when a certain group of people were demonized all over and segregated all over, and eventually there were, I don't know, marks or passes to segregate these people. Because obviously that happens via the Jewish people, okay? But again, they're not the only ones. And actually, we're going to talk about some of the human experimentation that went on, and the Dachau experiments, for instance. If you read Annie Jacobson's book, The Survivor, and the person that really brings these experiments to light, he's not Jewish. I just want to point that out right there. But then we're going to circle all the way around and say, well, at the end of the day, unfortunately, these guys did think they were going to become the Übermenschen, right? The race and the ones that literally build the city of 1,000+ years. Now, I want to ask something. Is that very different from the vision we're seeing right now, okay, in this transhumanist movement? And does that reflect on things like Operation Paperclip, okay? So these are the questions at hand. This is what we're going to be asking, and we're going to be playing this clip, and then we're going to go strictly outside of YouTube just to play parts of Shade. Now, if you watch me on Alex Jones today, I played a couple clips from Shade the Motion Picture. If you haven't seen it, okay, if you haven't seen it, I would suggest you check that film out. Now, first things first, Whoopi bent the knee anyway after the fact, and she still gets suspended. And I get it. There's a lot of irony out there. We're not making this about cancel culture. Okay, everybody should admit they're wrong when they're wrong, but was she necessarily wrong in what she said? Well, we're going to present some information here, and you make the call. Imagine that. You're allowed to think for yourself. Well, we're on YouTube right now. and we're live streaming. We lose a strike tomorrow, magically, so it makes it that much harder for them to take my channel. But again, we've been kicked off of YouTube, I believe, 4 times. Our channel has been taken. So, you know, you're watching there, thumbs it up, subscribe, share. We got the GoFundMe. I could always use your support there, guys. Thank you, Odyssey, for backing me up. Rockfin's where this will move to the censored portion of the broadcast, right? I mean, you've got people in the White House right now, Jen Psaki, who basically has license to say whatever she wants, whenever she wants, never to be called on. I mean, I want you to think about this. How many times have the fact checkers gone after the Biden administration, the Zombie J administration, the poopy pants presidency? All right? And she says they need to do more than just put warnings and labels about misinformation. I mean, give me a break. It makes me ill. So all the documentary films are free. And again, we're going to be playing a latter portion of Shade the Motion Picture, actually starting with Alex Jones. And earlier today, I played a piece starting with Webster Tarpley where we go into this overpopulation myth. And he talks about it kind of being born out of the idea that the average person, the common Joe six-pack, if you will, is nothing more than an animal. Isn't that lovely? But again, we'll get there. So with that being said, we're also on Getter, same exact tag as Twitter. And please go check me out in audio format all over the place now, including Spotify. It'd be great if we got enough of a following on Spotify that we could actually upload video podcasting there as well. That'd be big time, pig time. So let's get to the Whoopi first. Here she is. Now, dare she have an opinion that goes against, you know, the grain of what we call normal? And you actually hear the crowd go, when she says it.
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
No, it's about
a different race. But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's about
but it's not about
ideal race.
White supremacy. Now, look, let's look at it this way. These people did believe that they were going to become the Ubermen, right? Again, the Ubermenschen. And they utilized race as a tool. And just like now you have populaces that have been subjugated and relegated to authoritarianism through the demonization of those who haven't bent the knee. Let's go that far, right? At that time, what you did is you pointed to wealthy, influential people, and then you said, oh, look, this person happens to be Jewish. And then, of course, that person, you know, is not going to feel the wrath of Hitler and the Nazi Party. But who is? The serf class. And right now, the serf class is much bigger than just Jewish people, than black people or Hispanics. But everything they make it about today, this woman is always talking about white supremacy. All right? Well, I got news for you. A lot of quote-unquote white people were tested on by the Nazis as well. And a lot of quote-unquote white people were tested on by the U.S. government. You know, we played those clips about Corpus Christi, Texas today, right? And we also played those clips about St. Louis, Missouri, where radioactive cadmium sulfite, all right, was being dumped on people, all right? But again, Whoopi can't have an opinion that this is man's inhumanity to man. And by the way, again, that's part of it, because these people think they're going to be the Ubermenschen, right? They're going to be the great people out there that are going to save everybody. So they deserve more. They get to experiment on the serf class.
But these are two white groups of people.
Well, how do we have to black people
see them as white people?
But you're missing the point.
And let's talk about that. They don't see them as white. Okay? And here's the deal. Again, in that sense, it really wasn't about race, other than being able to utilize racism as a fervor right, to use medical tyranny and oppression and authoritarianism against others. You know, I liken it to when you had the quote-unquote black supremacist drive into the Capitol. Remember that? The blacks, and they associate him with Al Franken. Because at the end of the day, those Muslims, the Nation of Islam Muslims, they're going to pose a threat to what's being put into place now through the Great Reset. So, look, you saw what she said. Whoopi bends the knee. I don't think she was necessarily wrong. She's been wrong about a lot. But again, even bending the knee, look what you get. You get out. It's over. We'll see you later. Bye-bye now. That's what you get. Okay? So, I want to show people this article. This was actually in the New York Times. All right, this is 2014. And to really understand this, okay, you need to understand that at the time of the publication of this, and I have no idea how many other documents have been declassified since this, but Operation Paperclip alone had 600 million documents, not pages of documents, 600 million documents that were still being withheld from the American public. Why is that? Well, could it be that the post-World War II military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about, that born classified, okay, beginning of techno-fascism, right? That scientific elite he talks about? Well, it's because of that we're in the situation today and we don't know our past. And that Nazi mentality. Again, Area 51 isn't about little green men from Mars and the planet Plutar, okay? It's not what it is. No, instead, it was a black site to have compartmentalized work on not only energy and propulsion systems, but bioengineering, geoengineering. And when I say bioengineering, you can imagine the horrific type of experiments I'm going to show you right here in this New York Times article. Okay? So among the trophies of the Second World War captured by Allied intelligence agents were Nazi scientists and their research on biological and chemical weapons. In a classified memorandum titled Exploitation of German Scientists in Science and Technology in the United States, the Joint Chiefs of Staff described these men as chosen rare minds whose continuing and intellectual productivity we wish to use. Such intellectual spoils were not to fall into Soviet hands in 1945, but they did. Make no mistake about it. We're not Russophiles here. We're here to acknowledge the reality. But I want people to understand our government has been found out, and we were doing these things during the Cold War to people post-World War II because of this setup. Can I get a thumbs up for that, guys? 58 likes over in YouTube land. Can we get 100? Can we get 100? All right. Operation Overcast, renamed Operation Paperclip in the paperclips attached to the dossiers for the most troublesome cases, began. More than 1,600 Germans that we know about were secretly recruited to develop armaments at feverish and paranoid pace that came to define the Cold War. Now, you got von Braun, who starts up NASA. You got to understand, as NASA gets into play, you have ARPA, which is the precursor to DARPA. DARPA, heavily involved. In fact, that's why Annie Jacobson's next book after this, right, after she does the one on Paperclip, there's von Braun right there next to Kennedy, okay? She does one on DARPA, the Pentagon's brain, because she realizes this is an extension of that mentality. And this technology is wow. That's why we keep going to that NASA document that tells you that they inventory this technology for 40 plus years. It takes them about 15 years to develop. Future Strategic Warfare 2025, Dennis Bushnell. Show it to people. Absorb the information. Realize what it means. All right, so we're going to go down to the word experimentation on human beings. Okay, Jacobson's book reveals just how bad this was. Nazi scientists were generously remunerated, in other words, rewarded, for developing biological and chemical weapons whose cleanup and disposal took decades and cost approximately $30 billion. American experimentation on humans continued during the Cold War in violation of the Nuremberg Code. A lethal chemical might have been developed for warfare with terrible consequences. Excuse me? Now, they also had a boop-boop program. We don't say the V word around here. The Nazis did. We're not even talking about the United States. But I want people to absorb that. We know a fraction of what they did there. That's who these people really are. We need to understand it. Because they never really got in trouble. They ignored the Nuremberg codes for a very long time. A lot of people are throwing that out these days. 22 Nazis got convicted. It's 22. That was a war machine, baby. They had underground, again, read Jacobson's book. They had underground facilities, the likes we couldn't imagine after that time. Right? We were like, whoa, this is what's really going on down here? And that's why, again, they were talking about the Übermenschen. And that's why, at the end of the day, it really is about race, but it's not necessarily about the color of your skin. You know, people really like to ignore the fact that who was the main ally of Hitler? Well, it wasn't white people, was it? You know, it was the Japanese and the Axis power. And there's no doubt. You know, I watch a lot of these old school, mainline, World War II things, and I'm not saying I buy into all of them, but you could talk about Germania and the idea that these cities were going to last 1,000 years. And at the end of the day, the people in control now, the transhumanists, many of which are descendants generationally of those that were running the power structure then, the predator class that I speak of, right? They do believe that. And it's not, again, what the color of your skin is. They're the new race of superior beings. And they want to use the technology, whether it be biological or chemical or nanotechnology, bio-nano, we've talked about that before, to control the serf class and subjugate them as they use it to empower themselves and possibly live for that 1,000 years plus that they talk about. So here's what we're going to do, okay? We are going to end this broadcast over on the YouTube, and we're going to continue it with a little bit of AJ. I want to again thank Alex Jones for giving me the opportunity to do that 4th hour, because I get to expand the audience, reach out to some people that are probably brand new, that are very much mainline conservatives. And it humbles me when a lot of these people reach out to me, and they are well-meaning. They are good people. They are trying to do the best they can with the information they have. And even in, you know, upper echelons of journalism at organizations that you would know by name, and not just mainline ones, but so-called alternative ones, these people, when they see me on the broadcast, they go, I had no idea that was going on. Where did you get that document? How old is that video? When did this person say that? Because they're still stuck in their little boxes, and they have their blind spots, okay? And I'm not perfect. So here's the deal. Thumbs it up on the way out of YouTube, okay? Rockfin.com, ROKFIN.com. I have the call-in line open on the live Podbean. I think you have to have either the Podbean app or something like that. You might be able to do it on desktop. You got to find the Info Warrior. That's Podbean we're going to be going big on. We went premium, guys. Again, I'm trying to expand here. Hopefully it sounds all right over there. If not, we'll delete that episode, and then we'll upload the audio from this. But you want to see the premium video. You want to see a portion of Shade the Motion Picture. And again, you can watch that in high def, free over at Rockfin, or right in the playlist section below here at YouTube. Come on over. And you want to support me? The links are down below. I want to say this again. We have to become the great resistance to this very real Great Reset, repackaged New World Order agenda where, in many ways, they've almost surpassed the track trace database society and gone full transhuman, which I didn't see coming this quick. And this is a battle for humanity's very soul. And this is the same type of ideology that the Nazis wanted. So was it about race in that respect? You bet it was. In the other respect, it was utilizing race as a mechanism to gain control and subjugate a large part of the populace while bringing other people in, and about authoritarianism. And yes, Whoopi, part of it is man's inhumanity to man, but it continues today. It continues today. So YouTube, we will see on the flip side and over at the Rockfin. All right, folks. They're gone. We're here.